Hello, gamers. Can any of the sharp-eyed observers tell me what we're going to play today? Well, it's November 25th, 2024, and we are on our next Solitaire by Design game. This time, it's a game that I've been looking for a long time. Hard to find. Zulus on the Ramparts, the Battle of Rorke's Drift, by Victory Point Games. And yes, very excited about finally being able to play this well-regarded game. And it's Solitaire by Design, so I'm not having to fake playing two sides, which is a fine thing. But this one is Solitaire by Design for one player. And I think what I'm going to do this time, I'm happy to say, is that I'm going to have a go at just sort of like getting stuck in straight away. And so, in other words, when in the sequence of play, the first thing we do is we draw an impy counter from the opaque cup, and then we sort of implement it and do all this sort of thing. I mean, I've only read a few pages of the rules so far, but I'm going to try and sort of get stuck in rather than sort of reading all the rules. And I want to have a go at this tonight. Dash it all. And I've also managed to get a hold of a free book on audible.com, which is covers Rorke's Drift and is written by an officer in the British Army. I mean, an actual officer, you know. And looking forward to it, and probably doing a lot of funny accents and that sort of thing. And already it's interesting because with the book and everything, already, excuse me, already finding out lots of interesting things about the battle, including the fact that Private Hook, for example, who in the movie, at least, marvelous movie, of course, but yes, definitely has some problems, the old movie, from an accuracy point of view. And yes, rather unfair, because old Hooky, who was played by James Booth in the film, is portrayed as a rascal and a drunkard, and he was the complete opposite of that. So, yes. Anyway, back to the game. So I can't tell you very much about it yet because I've just basically set it up. I am drawn to I like the components very much. I am drawn to the fact that it's very clever sort of, I haven't played that many sort of card-oriented games, so maybe this is a bit more commonplace than poor old Jeff, who sort of hides in the shadows, yes, is aware of. But no, I like the fact that you put certain cards close to the bottom of the deck, so that they can only be triggered at that point. This is not going to be shuffled, you see. This is the main deck that's driving the game. And then halfway through the deck, you put another card. That's when night falls, if I remember correctly. So it happens roughly halfway through the deck, which it's a clever system. And I say here's to it. And so, yes, here we've got the Rorke's Drift itself. And then we've got, well, I do know a little bit. Okay, so we've got Rorke's Drift. Let's see, time of day, we're in the daytime here. And about halfway through, it'll become nighttime. We know that because we put the card in the deck. And then we have these 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see, so it's, yes. Where was that? There was a mention of that somewhere. I can't find a definitive pronunciation. Something tells me that the unit, the type of unit, the sort of size of unit is, well, it looks like it's spelled Ibutho, but something tells me that should be, the pronunciation should be Ibuto, but I can't find it anywhere. I can't find a reliable source. And the other thing that's somewhat confusing to us Westerners, of course, is that the plural of, I'm going to say Ibuto because I think that's what it is. So the plural of Ibuto is Amabuto in Zulu, I guess. Although in the rules they call them Ibuthos. But yes, well, Right. So yes, all terribly atmospheric and all very difficult to pronounce, but I always give it my best shot. So we've got here we have the Ibuto of let's see, Indloyengwe. Okay. Then we have Indlondo, and then we have Utholwana. That's probably the easiest one to say. And then Udloko. Right. And then in here, of course, we've got the jolly old, yes, South Wales Borderers, that sort of thing. Commanded by Lieutenant Chard, and also, of course, who was an engineer with very little, no, I think, experience of battle. And then they had Lieutenant Bromhead, who I believe certainly had been in the army for longer, as I understand it, even though he'd received his commission later than Chard. And I also understand that, unlike in the movie, where they have a conversation between the two of them trying to establish which one of them should be in command based on who got their commission first, this was actually established before the battle, as Chard was in conversation with Major Whatsit, whose name I can't remember for the moment, who said, "Right then, Chard, yes, your commission was before Bromhead, so you're in command, and there you are. There's a good fellow. But I shouldn't think you're going to have too much trouble, and I'll be back in time for tea." Which basically is, I mean, it's a close approximation of the conversation, apparently. So, there we go. And I say, let's get on with it. Well, we're off to a very interesting start. Drew one of the counters from the opaque cup. It was building on fire. And then we had no buildings on fire presently. We rolled a die and we got a 1. So the hospital has burst into flames, which is a marvellous start to the whole engagement. Okay, well, I've played 2 turns. I think I'm doing it correctly. Yes. On the first turn, then, as we saw, the hospital caught fire, and we've got our little shiny little plastic markers that are not part of the game, but, you know, I like to dress things up every once in a while, and it's absolutely fascinating. And we weren't able to do anything, as near as I could figure out, on the first turn, because all we could do was put forth a hero, so grab one of the heroes in one's hand, as it were. So I put forward Chard, but then you can't sort of make him do anything unless it's sacrificial, as far as I can see. And then later on in the sequence of play, you got to put forth another hero. So then Bromhead went forth. Them being here, put forth as they're described, means they're no longer in your hand. It means they're available, they're ready to do something. Okay, so you can actually put 2 of them forward in a turn, and when you do it on the second time, for example, you don't even get an opportunity to do something. You're just getting them ready. So they were ready then to be able to do something on the next turn, as it were. Okay, we had a card draw in the first turn, and we got Surgeon Reynolds. So he is good for fishing people back out of the discard pile. If they're in the discard pile, as far as I can see, they're being treated by Surgeon Reynolds. And unless you play him, they sort of stay there and probably perish. If you do play him, there's a chance, if you roll the right number, that he will not become discarded himself. Anyway, okay. So then we checked victory conditions, obviously, then we went on to turn 2, and on turn 2 we drew that the chest Ibuto, that is to say Indlondo, would advance by 2 spaces, so they move from there, they go 1, 2 to there, and if they're 3 spaces away, that means that they are within long range. So we had our card to do our opening volley, and we rolled that up, and over there, as you can see, we got 1, 6, which is a hit. Oh, we had to get rid of a -1 dice roll modifier, which is the ammunition and Waterloo counter over here, which was there, because we start out in that position. So, Chard did the action, which was to... Hang on a minute. Have I missed something here? Have I... No, I don't think so. Hang on a second. I realised I'd made a mistake there, okay, because I did too many actions. I had both heroes up here, and Gosh, yes. Right, I had both heroes up here. I used one of them to perform an action, which was to distribute ammo and water, which means we get rid of the -1 modifier. So that meant the Bromhead had done that. Okay, so he had to come back here. But then I had the notion that then I would do a volley, but that's another action. So you can only do one action a turn unless you're doing a free action, and none of those are free. So that meant that, let's see, Chard was still out there not having done anything. Then you can put forth a hero later on in the sequence of play, so I will now put him back there. Okay, I didn't get to do a volley. They had taken casualties, but that didn't happen. No, I didn't have enough actions to do that. So, but at least we've distributed the ammo. Right, okay. Just trying to get the hang of this. And let's see, we drew a card. So let's say we've still got the volley card. That's right, we drew the commit the reserve platoon. Okay. And we've completed turn 2. So as far as the broad situation goes, we've got the hospital on fire, which is not good. And they're coming on in strength. And we haven't been able to fire at them yet. That's the end of turn 2. Okay, we had our third turn, and briefly, we wanted to do a volley at these chaps here. And I've done some research, and I listened to an audiobook, and as near as I can tell, it is indeed Ibutho, not Ibuto. So the Indlondo Ibutho here, they're at long range, but we can't fire on them at all, because if they are on a path that leads to the hospital, that would count as firing through the hospital for some reason. I suppose it's... anyway, you can't do it. So they're too far away to fire on with the blood burning and all that. Yeah, okay, so there we go. Couldn't do that. So what we tried to do was to put the blessed fire out. And in this we failed. That used up, that was an action that had to be performed by someone, so it was performed by Bromhead. Then later on we had the opportunity to put forth a hero in the free hero phase, so we put forward Corporal Schiess, the Swiss, and plucky chap, and we drew a card which was, earlier we drew a card which was indeed the good Corporal himself. Right. So that's where we are at the end of the third turn. Yes, of course, I forgot to mention that there was movement, of course, out there, and that was the Ibutho that was Udloko. They in the loins, they moved forward one space. Right, and it's turn 4. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep track of the number of turns, but what the heck. Near as I can. So it is turn 4 precisely right now, and let's see, we've had actually no movement forward by the enemy, because what we drew was a rally and regroup and rest the lads, and the Zulus have gone to ground and all that sort of thing. They hadn't suffered any significant losses, so actually there was no adjustment or anything like that to their forces, and we still couldn't fire at them because we had to put the fire out first. So the action that we took was that Chard took charge of putting the fire out, and he managed to do it this time. So the fire at the hospital is out, which means on the next turn we'll be able to fire at those chaps there. We drew a card. We got another commit the reserve card. So we now have 5 cards here, which is the maximum we can have. Those cards don't count towards that total. But if we get any more cards than that in our hand down here, we would have to discard the excess at the end of the turn. So that's turn 4. We also used up a free action, which is if you're using a continuous heroic ability, such as Corporal Schiess has, which is before a Zulu Ibuthu advances into the north wall, roll a die. 1, 2, 3, 4 advances normally, 5 or 6, it remains in place. So that was popped on there for free, because it's a free action. So that's there. And that means when they want to advance, they have to roll a die. Okay. Okay, end of the 5th turn, and we had the this time we had the left horn has moved forward 1 space. Let's see, that's the Indluyengwe. Yep, Indluyengwe Ibutho. And they're the ones that are moving towards the north wall, so they're the ones that are up against Corporal Sheese and his effect. And we did roll to see if they were slowed down at all, and they weren't. Then we had, as our action, we could open fire on these chaps here, the Indlondo Ibuthu, and completely missed them. Not a scratch, okay? But that particular card also had the bonus that you could perform a free non-volley action this turn as well. And so Chard took on that action to start building the barricades here, which are presently 1/3 done. And when they're completed after, well, 3 turns basically, the Zulu victory location marker will be moved from there, the outer perimeter, it will be moved from there to the inner barricade. So it'll be one more step that the Zulus have to move to be able to claim victory. Okay. Right, well, here we are on turn 6, and things have heated up, and I thought we'd better go live over to the action with the camera team here. Because what we drew on the impy counter was nothing less than the loins over here moving forward 3 spaces. So they've moved up to this situation here, which is the kraal. And they are now 1 space away from the victory location. If they can make it to there, it's all over. Right, which is 1 space away. Okay, so I would say that we've got to do whatever we can right now, and it ain't much that we've got to mess with here, to deal with. We've got to do everything that we can to stop that from happening. Well, to our advantage, that is, I guess it's the weakest Ibutho. It's the Udloko Ibutho, and it has only 1 strength counter, if you like. So that stands to our advantage. And then let's see, what can we do? We can't do anything with the reserve platoon because we don't have one built yet. That requires a lieutenant and a sergeant, and we've never had a sergeant appear yet, so we haven't had the opportunity to even build one. We've got that one there, which is just, oh, well, it's a shooting card, but there's not much to it. At close range, it's only worth 1 anyway, 1 die. But what we have got is we've got Bromhead. So now what we can do with him is use this section of his card, which means we have to discard his card, which means we're basically putting him over there. Think of him as being, I don't know, slightly wounded or something like that, but he's definitely out unless we can bring him back with something like Surgeon Reynolds. Well, we know that will bring him back if we play that card, but there we go. So he won't be lost forever. Let's see. So there's various things we could do with this, but right now we need that card to shoot. So that's what we're going to do. Let's see. So we've drawn the impy that told us who it was. It's the loins. We've implemented the Ibutho, so they've moved forward to the kraal. So now our action is going to be Bromhead is going to be doing that volley, as it were, there. And happily for us, at close range, and they are at close range there, at close range, we're rolling 4 dice. So we're trying to get, if I remember correctly, we're trying to get 6s for kills or 5s for retreats. Okay. And, oh, God, look at that. Right, so we got 1 5. That's all we've managed to get out of that. Let's look up what that means. And so there they are. They went back 1 space, retreat 1 space, as they rolled 1 5. And there's Bromhead over there, presumably wounded or whatever. But we'll be using Surgeon Reynolds to get him out of that. Okay, and in the let's see, what did we do? We drew a card, so we got a volley fire card, and we got to put forth a hero. So now we've got Surgeon Reynolds ready to act up here, and let's see, housekeeping. We've got 4 cards here, so we're okay. No, 5 or less is fine, and yeah, so that's after 6 turns. So of course the thing is I don't know in here in the opaque cup. I don't know, how often old Udloko, how often, well, it's not Udloko, is it? No, sorry, it's the Loins. I don't know how often they are going to get to move. So at the moment, yeah, if they scored a move of 2, what would it be? It would be Loins move of 2, 1, 2, and they'd be in. And that would be that. Right, let's press on. Okay, it's turn 7, and first of all we got what was it? Indloyengwe Ibutho advance, which meant that they would have, that was that chap there, you see, they would have advanced 2 spaces. But good old Corporal Sheese here, we rolled a die for him, and his effect caused them not to go anywhere, so we got a break there. Okay, good old Sheese. And then for our action, we decided to, because we've got Chard already there, out there, continue building barricades, which are now 2/3 done. Okay. Then we drew our card, and we got Lieutenant Adendorf, the Boer, and he's there ready to help out. And let's see, where are we? And then there was the hero phase. We could have put forth a hero, couldn't we? Yes, we didn't do that, did we? No. So I think that was probably a mistake. Yeah, let's put forth a hero. There we go. So we got those out there. We haven't been able to use Surgeon Reynolds yet because our action this time was to build barricades rather than to get Bromhead healed. Okay. And so, yeah, that's where we're at. Okay, we're at the end of turn 8, and eventful again. This time we pulled a chit for the Impy chit, said that all the elements of the Bull Buffalo would move forward 1 space. Corporal Sheese once again prevented them from moving at all on the die roll there. But they have moved up. They now in space number 2 here, right outside the hospital. They've moved forward, and I'm going to check that. They've moved back to the kraal, but we did also finish the barricade. So now, instead of the Zulu victory marker being here, the Zulus have got to get to here for their victory. And that, as we can see, is the inner barricade. And I'm going to check that I moved them, just to be on the safe side. Yes, indeed. Ibutho Uthulwana has moved for the first time. Right. So, yeah, just keeping it real here. They are 2 spaces away from victory. And they are 1, 2, 3 spaces away from victory. So, yes, there's a lot going on. And we've got... these are all sort of like volley type opportunities, as it were. But these I've got to build a reserve platoon first to be able to use them, and I can't do that without a sergeant because I need a lieutenant and a sergeant to be able to do that. The other thing on my list of things to do is to use Surgeon Reynolds to rescue or patch up Lieutenant Bromhead and get him back into play. Yes, right, okay. Well, here we are in turn 9, and things are looking very dicey. We've drawn this chit here, which means that the chest is going to move forward 2 spaces, which that's Indlondo Ibutho, and they're going to go through the hospital into the outer perimeter, which a few moments ago was the final victory location for the Zulus. But because we've got the inner barricade, that's no longer the case. So they're there. They're inside the perimeter. for heaven's sake. Now, when someone's inside the perimeter, any volley that you do has to be at them. So, but we don't need any persuasion. They are the chaps we're going to be firing at. So they've come in there. Now it's time for the British action. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a heroic sacrifice by Chard, because although he's got some pretty spiffy dice here, what we're going to do is we're going to, let's see, it says you may discard this card to conduct up to 2 additional actions at this time. So we're going to discard him. So he's over here in the wounded, unfortunately. Well, I'm calling the wounded the discard pile. And we're going to do 2 actions, which are these 2 cards here, which these are sort of actions in themselves, as it were. They're not. It's not like let's see, fighting a fire or constructing a barricade, which are actions that need a hero up here, and then you do the thing that they're doing. With these, you just play the card, okay? So we can do 2 actions. Normally, we'd only be able to do 1. We can do 2 actions, and let's see. You may discard this card to allow it or any other to fire 1 volley at the end of... look at that later. Okay, so we got 2 volleys coming in here, 2 close range volleys, which are 3 dice. So we're going to be rolling a total of 6 dice, and in 2 batches of 3. And they've got 3 hit markers here. Is it 3 hit markers or 4? No, they've got 3 hit markers there. So if we can get rid of all 3 of those hit markers, then they are eliminated. Yeah, not much chance of that, probably. So here goes the first volley. So take that volley card and put it over there. Here goes the first volley at the chest, as it were. It's got to the got inside the perimeter there. Okay. Oh, that is good. That's very good. That's a very good start. Right. So it says we do our hits first. So we got 2 hits there, as you can see, fair and square. Okay, did very well there. They go in the Zulu casualties. All right. And then we have a 5, which is a retreat. So they will retreat to there. Okay. And that was only the first volley. I suppose now, I mean, you don't have to pre-designate the fire. I could now choose to do something else, I suppose. I could, like, commit Surgeon Reynolds, for example, play him, and then get back Chard or Bromhead. Or I could shoot, let's see, he is 2 spaces away from victory, as it were. And he is 2 spaces away from victory. My goodness me, there's not much... it's not much in it, and they're both down to 1 counter. So I've got 1 more volley that I can fire. Let's see, he's on 1. They're both close range. They're both outside the perimeter now, so I can pick and choose which one I fire at. Let me think about this. I think I'm going to fire at them again. Okay, let's do that. See what we can get. Nothing. Right. Okay. So that's our action. And then, yeah. Okay, next up would be our card draw. We can go live on this. There's our card. Hark, the orders. Okay, good for long-range fire. Okay, so that's more firing down here. Oh, naughty. I've got to get rid of that. There we go. That's been used up. Drew a card. We can put forth a hero in the put forth a hero phase. We don't have any to put forth. And we do our housekeeping. No, we're fine. 5 or less. And that's the end of that turn. And so here we are. It's turn 10 and the end of turn 10. And as we can see, the storehouse has caught fire here. At least none of the Zulu Amabutho moved. And let's see, we had for our British action, we had very little we could do at close range, only 1 die on any of those cards. So we decided instead as an action to take Ardendorf, who was here, Lieutenant Ardendorf the Boer. And he has taken charge of, because a lieutenant or a sergeant can. to build barricades. He's supervising the construction of the final redoubt here. Playing with fire, of course, because these chaps are only 2 moves away, 2 spaces, I should say, away from victory, as are they. But to fire on them with a 1 in 6 chance of getting a hit, well, that would destroy the unit. But anyway, I didn't like the look of it. So, and in terms of drawing cards, this card might come in handy when someone is actually at that range, 2 spaces away. Of course, it could be very handy. Yes, 4 dice. That's not to be sniffed at by any means. And let's see, that's it. Right. Okay, we're at the end of turn 11. And if we can just hang on. Let's see what happened. We had the right horn of the bull buffalo. So that was the Ibutho, Utholwana. And they're a big one. Yeah, they're four strength points in there, strength counters in there. So yeah, they moved forward 1 space. They're up to here, and they're going to be slowed down by the fire in the storehouse if it's still burning. What happens there is, if they get a move that would take them through that, they have to stop when they reach that, and then on the subsequent turn they can move on. But they can't just sail right through the burning building. So there's that. So they move forward slightly. Then for the British action, we just carried on. Lieutenant Adendorf, the Boer, carried on supervising the building of the final redoubt, which is now 2/3 done. And then, let's see, we drew a card, and we got no heroes to put forward. Got a volley fire card, which is good for close range work, so we're definitely going to be tempted to use that on the next turn, probably. And we did actually have to discard this time, because we had 6 cards in our hand, so we got rid of one of them that was lousy for close range. So, right, and we press on. Okay, here we are at the end of turn 12, and as we can see, Night has fallen. That was the card that was drawn. Let's see, in terms of the enemy's action, we had both the left horn over here and the right horn over here move forward 1 space. This time Corporal Schiess was not able to affect that, so they move forward. And then for the British action, the action of the 24th, they completed the barricade under Adendorf's direction. So the barricade, the victory location, is now here at the final redoubt, which is, obviously to our advantage, and also, we're thinking that we are going to, although you lose victory points, you lose 2 victory points for having a burning building. You'd lose 2 for that one and 2 for that one, as if that was burning as well. But the thing is, if it is burning, then you can continue firing at night as if you were firing during the day. You don't get a -1 modifier. So I don't think we're going to put it out. And it also means that when they move forward, they have to stop when they enter it. So there is that. Okay. And let's see, we had no heroes to put. No, we did. Because Adendorf had been put back in the hand after having completed building the barricade. He was put forth as a hero, so he's now here. And housekeeping, we were okay. Didn't have too many cards, and we're moving on. Okay, here we are in the middle of turn 14. Turn 13 was but short, because we pulled the seniority debate marker, and if we had had Bromhead, Chard, the commissary, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head, and the Colour Sergeant Bourne, if they had been in play up here, they would have all gone back into our hand. There's some sort of, dispute over leadership or whatever, command. But they weren't. But we skipped an entire turn there, and then we just drew another chit. And we got that one there, which is everyone advances. So everyone did, including these chaps coming down here. Shees was not able to deter them. So everybody moved forward one space, except because both the chest, which was here at the hospital, and the loins here at the kraal, they would both have moved forward one space into the outer perimeter. The stacking limit is only one ibutho, so they're both the same size. Otherwise, the larger one would have got in there because they both have one right now. The one that was larger to begin with is the one that trumps the whole thing. So he ended up in there, and he ended up having to stay where he was. Okay, so now we've got the existential threat, as they like to say these days, is we've got these chaps here, which is Indlondo Ibutho, and they are 2 spaces away from victory, and they're inside the perimeter. So if we're going to do any volley firing, it must be on them. I mean, that the rules state it must be on them. That's not just me being dramatic. So they are at close range. If they weren't there, we would have taken a pot probably at them, because we can get 4 dice against them with that card. But we're going to fire at them. At least we've got a volley fire, present, fire, with this chap here. And we've got 3 dice on that. So that's what we're going to do. That's going to be our action. That doesn't require anyone up here. Up here, you just play that card and off it goes. So just 1 second. Right, so let's go live over to the action. Let's roll them up. We've got 3 dice. We're looking for 5s and 6s. Well, we got a 5. So that is a retreat 1 space. So that means that the Indlondo Ibutho are going to retreat 1 space there to the hospital. And there's our volley fire. That's going to go over there. And, well, we've got the camera rolling, I suppose. We're not going to do it. That was our action. We're not going to do any of these special things here. We're just going to take a card. And, aha! Colour Sergeant Bourne. All right, then. Nobody told you to stop working. Colour Sergeant Bourne. Yes. Marvellous chap. Marvellous chap. So there he is. Okay. And here we are at the end of turn 15. Yes, they keep coming, all these brave lads. They keep assaulting the mission, you see? Marvellous. And what's a fair amount happening on turn 15. Bit of a break, actually. Bit of a break for the 24th foot. Because the chit that we drew was this one here, R, which is R for rally, regroup, retreat, and rest. And so, basically, some of the Amabutho would have been able to recover some of their losses if they had been further away, if there had been three or more spaces, locations, 3 or more, that sort of thing. But they were in closer than that, so they didn't get to get any chaps, any sort of reinforcements recovered. They instead, one thing that we really liked was anybody that was closer in the number 2 markers. So there's 2, 2, 2. Anyone closer in than that, which included all of them, had to retreat 1 space. So we did that. So all of them retreated, all 4 of them. And then what else did we get? Then it was rest the lads. So that means that we weren't allowed to fire any volleys this turn. Okay. What we did instead for an action was Lieutenant Adendorf, the Boer, and Colour Sergeant Bourne. All right then. They have formed down here to form, the reserve platoon. You see, you put them there. That means that the reserve platoon is now in play. So now, on the next turn, if I get an opportunity, we can use these cards, you see, to blast away at close quarters. Now, when we do that, we pay a price because, well, there are just these two cards here for a start. But when we do it, immediately ammunition has run low. So that means then we have to use a subsequent action, which is probably going to be the next turn, to redistribute ammunition to get rid of that marker. Or we fire with the -1 modifier, of course. So there is that. It's all these decisions. The great thing about this game is there are so many decisions to be made, so many different things you can do each turn, and there are lots of turns that go by very quickly. So you have a great sense of, things moving forward quickly. The pace, marvelous. And I've just finished one audiobook, completely finished one audiobook on the engagement. Absolutely fantastic. What's it called? Wolves on the Fold. It's quoting from, I think it's Byron, but that itself, I think is I thought it was quoting from the Bible or something like that, like the Assyrians descending like the wolf upon the fold or something like that. But anyway, absolutely first class, written by, I believe it was a lieutenant colonel in the modern British Army, possibly retired now, but I'm not sure. But absolutely first class. And also apologies to, I said there was a hero card which I didn't have that was, I think I said was for Commissary Someone, which was scandalous of me. It's for Commissary Dalton here, who may show up eventually. It showed up in the deck there somewhere. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is that this whole thing, I didn't quite realize until I got the book that I just mentioned, that I knew that it's the 24th Regiment of Foot, which I think was something like the 2nd Warwickshire Regiment, as near as I can remember, at the time, but then like 2 years, something like that later, became the South Wales Borderers, which is what they call themselves in the film, in the Sandy Baker film, of course. Marvellous film. Does have some historical inaccuracies in it, but a fantastic film. But anyway, the thing is that a lot of the soldiers were from Monmouthshire, which is where I was born, and I now live in what would have been Monmouthshire back then, when I was born in never you mind, quite some time ago, the town of Newport, you see, is my birthplace, and several of the chaps who fought here and distinguished themselves were indeed from Newport itself, my hometown. And I made a note of some of their names. We have, let's see, who we got. I think these are all privates. Nicholas and Dunbar and Savage. And I think at least one of them lost his life. I've got to look into that more, and I shall. Right. So what else do we have? So we formed the reserve platoon, ready to blast away, and it's onwards and upwards, I suppose, to the next turn. Okay, here we are at turn 16, and our MP chit that we drew was the Washing of the Spears, and that's the let's see, when a Zulu Ibuthu made a kill, they stopped for a ritual purification. So what you do is you take all of the Amabutho who are on the lowest number, and so we had, who did we have? We had 3, didn't we? I believe, and they. Yes, I think we had these 3 here. We're all on 2s, so that was the lowest number. So all 3 of them had to move back 1 space. So they went back, and back to there. Okay, so it was a very nice break for the 24th, and for our action, we finally called upon Surgeon Reynolds to do his bit. So he's over there now. He's discarded in the discard pile. Hopefully one day we'll get him back. And we used him to bring back Lieutenant Chard. We did roll a die. There was a chance he may have gone back into the draw pile, but that didn't work out. So we've got Chard back, and then we drew our card, and our card was Commissary Dalton, Splendid. because now we've been able to place that one there, which means that much as Shees has been keeping them off that way, we've got... Oh, I didn't mention, sorry, apologies, Private Hook, who's very badly done by in the movie. They basically played him... Well, he's heroic, but he's also a drunkard and a schemer, whereas he was actually a model soldier of incredible bravery and a teetotaler. And so, anyway, he's there, doing the same thing as Shees does to the North Wall. He's doing that in the hospital. And now we have Commissary Dalton, who's got even better odds, 50-50, of being able to stop people who are trying to advance there in the jolly old storehouse. So, yes, things are coming together. We're turning into a bit of a tough nut to crack. Yes. Right, that was done, and that's because we drew Commissary Dalton as a card, and then we put him forth as a hero, and let's see, what else have we got? We did our housekeeping, we're all fine, we're ready for the next turn. Okay, we're in the middle of turn 17 here, and we're going to go live to the action. Right, let's see. We drew our impy chit, and we got a general advance for all units. Right, 2 of them were thwarted. Good old Hooky there kept them back, and Commissary Dalton kept them back. But Shees couldn't do it this time, and this Imbutho here, which is the one I love to attempt to say, is the Indloyengwe, that's it. They advanced. Right. So, what are we going to do about it? Well, we're not going to use the reserve platoon because they do their worst work, or the most effective work, I should say, the worst damage at close range, and we're holding them for that. So we are instead going to mark your target as it comes. Look to your front. Mark your target as it comes. We're going to do that because we're going to do that. Now, we could do that. There's no one in the inner perimeter, or the outer perimeter even. We could, we want to find someone with a range of 2, so we could fire on them. They've got a strength of 2 at the moment. Or we could fire on them, and I think we're going to fire on them. We're going to try and eliminate them. So we're going to fire. There we go. 4 dice at them. Not entirely clear. I'm going to check the rules again because I was a bit fuzzy on that. I'm not entirely clear if I think that counts right now as there we go. That they are they've got one round one there and a square, as you can see on the counter, and I think that means that they can take 2 hits. So, but I read the rules and it looked like it said when you can't remove any more hit markers, the unit is lost. So that would mean if this round thing is a hit marker, so that would suggest I only have to get 1 hit on it to eliminate it. So, well, let's roll the dice and see what happens. We got absolutely nothing. Look at that. Remember, the die roll modifier for nighttime is not in effect because we have a burning building. So we've got light coming from that. And we had to get 5s for retreat or 6 for hits, and we got nothing. So there's our action. There we go. It's going to happen from time to time. Okay, no, I think I understand. It's just the way I was reading it was, it sounded ambiguous. But yeah, in other words, if that hit marker wasn't there, and then that unit had to take a hit, the rules say there are no hit markers remaining, so the unit itself, in other words, the square bit on the bottom, as you might say, has to take the hit. So yeah, so that lot there can actually take 2 hits, and then it's gone. Right. Anyway, but yeah, we missed just desultory fire, and any hits were 'twas but a scratch. Okay, so we drew our card, independent fire at will, very handy. And we put forth a hero if we had one, but we don't. And we move on to the next turn. Right, well, something's happened that has made me realise I made a small mistake earlier, which I'm going to rectify now. Okay. We've got the impy chit that we drew means that the left horn is going to advance 2 spaces. We rolled to see if Corporal Sheese could stop them, and he couldn't, unfortunately. So they've overcome the good corporal. He's retreated in good order. So they get to move 2 spaces, 1, 2 to here. That caused me to look up the rules on, well, what happens to him? Okay, so we remove that counter. And he hasn't been lost. He's just retreated. He's not there anymore. And we take him from here and we put him in our hand. Okay, like that, which now means we've got 5 cards in the hand. Okay, fine. They get to move their 2 spaces, 1, 2, which means they're inside the perimeter, which is not much fun for us. Okay, but it does mean we can blast away at them now. Okay, now, however, I found that you have to take that hero and put him back in your hand and remove his effect counter. If that happens, you also have to do it, though, if a building catches fire. I haven't yet seen in the rules, I may have missed it, I haven't yet seen in the rules anything that says, which is why I made this mistake, anything that says you can't place that counter there if the building's on fire. It says if the building's on fire, you have to remove that counter, okay? But I put that counter there, and I'm going to figure that I shouldn't have done that, okay? Or, you know, reading between the lines. So therefore, I'm going to take that off there, okay? Because that building's on fire, okay? Dalton's still there, he's in play, that's fine, but I'm going to move them forward 1 space because he did stop them moving forward 1 space just now, so that's what we're going to do there. Okay. All right, and now things get particularly, potentially get particularly bloody, because what's going to happen now is we're going to commit the reserve platoon, because we're going to have a crack at this Ibutho here, the Indloyengwe, right? So let's see. Be sure and mark our ammunition as low, okay? We'll play the card. Well, let's have a look. Well, oh, that's right. After firing this volley, retreat the target Ibutho 1 additional box and place the low ammo marker in its spot. Okay, so regardless of what result we get, we know we're going to be able to retreat them 1 space. Yes? Yep. Okay. Right. So, interesting that, because that means that, does that mean, yeah. See, the thing is, there's no marker on there saying which horn it is, okay? And as you can see, the units could have come to that spot there from any of the 4 segments of the Bull Buffalo. So you do just, you know, as a trivial piece of game design here, you do actually have to remember where that came from. Otherwise, well, I suppose they're all still in play. But I mean, imagine if, for example, that one had been eliminated. You might retreat it to, if you couldn't remember where it came from, you might retreat it to here, you see. Yes, small detail, but there we are. Right, so we're rolling 5 dice this time. As we can see, there are 5 dice at close range. And, of course, we're trying to get 5s and 6s, preferably 6s. And let's see what happens. Looks pretty good. Okay, so we've got 1 hit and 2 retreats. Okay, so we'll take our hit. That's from there. Okay, all right. And then we've got 2 retreats. So there's 1 and 2. And because it was the reserve platoon, we do 1 more. Okay, that's the power of the reserve platoon. Okay, we play the card. And we've done our ammunition marker, okay. Well done, chaps. Brave lads. And then we might as well stay live here for a moment. We go and draw a card. We did want to draw a card. Yes, we certainly did. Right. Volley fire. Present. Fire. Right. There we go. And yeah, we've only got 5. On to the next turn. Well, actually, no, not on to the next turn. We had the opportunity to put forth a hero, so we're putting forward good old Corporal Schiess, the Swiss. Good chap. And next turn. Right, and it continues, yes. And this time we've had the loins move forward by 2, so they went 1, 2 into the outer perimeter. There's no one blocking anyone there. Oh, wait a minute. Yes. Yeah, my understanding is that the blue text on here is a free action. Oh no, but it does happen in the action phase, so it couldn't have happened yet, right? But it can happen now. But it is a free action. If it's blue text, it can happen as a free action. So we've got Schiess once again returns, brave chap that he is. He's returned to the north wall. There we go. Yes, he's up there. He's in play, and he's returned to the north wall. Okay, right. So that was a free action. So for our non-free action, we are going to blast away at these chaps who are in the outer perimeter there. So this is, let's see, the Udloko Ibutho. And we can, let's see, well, we can pick and choose here, can't we? Because, well, they've got one. It would be nice to be able to eliminate an entire unit. Let's see here. So we could fire on them with 3 dice. No, I'm going to blast away. These are very valuable, of course, and you really should be saving it for them because they're the biggest one. But I don't know. First time out with this game, so here we go. Right, so we're going to use this one. Now, the thing is, if we do that, though, without reloading first, or distributing ammunition, I should say, first, boxer cartridges, don't you know? We're going to suffer a -1. So what does that mean? That means, all right, let's stop and think about this. Obviously, that means that 6s will become 5s. Yes, so we won't be killing anyone. We won't be hitting anyone. So perhaps we should take this, well, you could say perhaps we should take this turn, take an action, and we might have to sort of sacrifice someone or something like that to get an action going here to be able to let's think about it. Yeah, what we'd like to do is we'd like to do that action and then we'd like to fire at them. Because if we do that action so that we're ready to fire next turn, the thing is he is only 2 spaces away. The one thing with this you always have to keep in mind is when you've got a situation like this, you know, there's nothing you're going to place here. Nothing's going to sort of come up and you're going to put something, well, as far as I know, I haven't done that awful business of sort of reading all the cards first before I play. I like to have a bit of mystery, so I don't know what's on those cards. So as I understand it, it's not like something is going to magically appear and sort of block them or something like that. So on their turn, if they get an advance of 2 spaces, I've lost. That's it. So I'm going to see if by using these cards wisely, I can get 2 actions somehow. Well, I know I can do it if I put Chard. If I put Chard in there, it says you may discard this card to conduct up to 2 additional actions this time. So I could put him in there, and that heroic abilities is that an action in itself? I played it before as if that cost 1 action, so then I would have 2 actions left. So, yes, 2 additional actions. So I put that in there, and then I have 2 actions. So I could do, at them, I could do 5 dice at close range there, and I could even do 3 more dice, okay, if I did that with Chard. I'm going to look at the other people first. I think that's what I need to do. It sounds like a heck of a thing, because that's putting Chard, wounding him again, basically, putting them in that pile there. And unless there are other medical men around, I don't know that he's ever going to come back, which is a heck of a thing. But I think I have to do this so that I can have 2... so that I can reload, distribute ammunition, that is to say, and then do the volley fire. Yeah, I'm going to have to do it, I think. Okay, so over we go. There he is in the discard. So that means that we can do an action from him. No, sorry, we can do an action. All we have to do is we'd have to designate one of these people to do the action. So Dalton is going to do the action, so he goes back into the hand. And the action was to distribute ammunition. Okay, that's that done. And now we're going to do one more action. We had 2 from Chard going in there. The next action is going to be the committing the reserve platoon. And we're already loaded up there with the 5 dice. If there's somebody within the perimeter, we have to fire at them. So it's going to be them. 5 dice, close range, looking for 5s and 6s. And would you look at that? We didn't get 1 hit. Okay. All right. Well, we got 2 retreat dice and 1 more because it was a reserve platoon. The ammunition is low again, so that goes back here. Okay. And we move them back 3 spaces, as we said, 3 spaces. So they came from here, as we know. So that's 1, 2, 3. They're going to go back to there. Okay. And Chard is back in the wounded pile, as I like to call it. Okay. Right. So we get rid of that card because we played it. And then we can optionally draw a card, which we certainly will. All right. Mark your target when it comes. Look to your front. All right, which is great for firing at people at medium range. Okay, 4 dice, that's a good one. Put forth a hero if we like. Yes, let's put forward Commissary Dalton. And on to the next turn. Right, so we continue. There's been a bit of a gap in the actual... It's been several days since I played the game, so I hope I still got all the rules in my head. But anyway, we're going to press on. So we're in the next turn, and we've drawn an impy chit. And we've got this, which is to say the chest would like to advance 1 space. So I'll take that and pop it over here. So that means, yeah, this is actually the 20th turn. So they'd like to go to there, but we've got Hook here defending, of course. And so we roll a die for that. And if we get a 5 or a 6, the Ibutho instead will remain in place. Won't, it'll be put off by Hook and his, wait a second. Wait a minute. Before it advances into the hospital. Yeah, into the hospital. Right, so they're not doing that. Nope. Forget that. False alarm. They're not trying to advance in the hospital. They've got a move of 1. Right, so they get to there. That's where they get to. Right, no dialer rolling there. So we've implemented the Ibutho, and now we're ready for the British action. Let's think about what to do now. Okay, we have got a we've got a a volley card here that we can use. Mark your target when it comes. Look to your front. Right. So we got this one here, which we can use rather well right now because we do have a medium range target. They're on space number 2, so that equates with that. So we can roll 4 dice firing with them. And who knows, with a bit of luck, we might be able to eliminate them. Yes. So let's... yeah, there we go. Let's have a look at that. Let's go live and roll up the dice on camera. So we can do this. We can do this from here, no problem. We can't fire from here because it's on fire. We could fire over there at them. They're 3 spaces away, but we don't have anybody with 4 dice for that. Oh, there's something. We've got low ammunition though, haven't we? Yeah. So to get out of that. The question is, you see, those are the cards that are left, and once we get down in there, the game is going to end at some point. So in my mind, of course, I'm wondering, are there any more commit the reserve platoon cards in there? Because if there aren't, then there's no point in having the reserve platoon formed here. And if I bet Colour Sergeant Bourne can generally do something rather useful if, let's see, skip the discards. This is his free move. Skip the discard set. You may have an unlimited hand size. Okay. Yes. It's really an extra action that I'm looking for, because remember, if it's -1 on the die roll modifier, that of course means you can't roll sixes. So it means that you can cause the Ibutho to retreat a long way potentially. Like if I roll 4 dice and I got 4 sixes, for example, 1, 2, 3, they'd go back to there and stop. But you wouldn't actually be able to eliminate them until you can do something with that. So you could do something with that by I could use one of these characters, and I could have them, like Commissary Dalton, for example. He's not there because he can't be there in the burning building. So he's not there holding the storehouse, as it were. So I could use him to be able to do the ammunition, but that's an action. That would mean my turn would be over at that point. Do I want to do that? Yes, let me think about that. Well, this is good because it illustrates part of this procedure. You can break up the reserve platoon at any time you like. I'm gambling here that there are no more of those in there. And if there are, I'm going to be sad. So, but anyway, I want to get a hold of these people. So no more reserve platoon available. So I move that back to the stack, as it were. And then these 2 characters, they come back into my hand. So, of course, I'm going to have to... that means I'm going... Let's see. If we put him into play, we can have a hand of unlimited size. Yes. So that will put him into play when we get a... put forth a hero before the end of this turn, which is before we have to look at the hand size. Right. Okay, so we actually haven't... That was free, what I just did. We haven't done an action yet. And I think I'm going to use Commissary Dalton as an action. So I'm going to put him down here. I can't really fit him down there. I'm going to put him down here. His action is going to be to replenish the ammunition. Yep. Okay, there we go. So the ammunition is normal now. So they didn't fire. Nobody fired, and we should be able to give them... Well, we will be able to give them a full blast next time we fire. So that was our action, was to do that, to distribute ammo. Now we have an optional card draw. So... yeah, I'll take the card because I'm going to play that one so that we can have any number of cards here. So I'm going to take the card. Okay, and let's see what we got. Volley fire by the ranks. Oh, look at that. Close range. 5. That's very good. Okay. That was our card draw. We can put forth a hero. And as I say, Colour Sergeant Bourne is the one we're going to put forward. So we can have an unlimited hand size now. Let's put Dalton down there with the people, as it were. Okay. Put for the hero. So now we have our housekeeping. Do we have to discard anything? No. Is it anyone have the Zulus been defeated? No. Right. Next turn.